shit.
What's cracking, big dogs?
Sam.
No respect.
0 respect. I'm feeling a few different firings happening tonight. Both of y'all. I'm gonna send Scott maybe a text.
Or Dan
fire
Quinn
all y'all.
to fire him again.
Oh, happy National Dan Quinn is dead day. Big day for the brand. Dan Quinn dead. But we're bike in the headquarters. Bike with the Bunkbed boys. Bunkbed breakdowns. Make sure you're following their YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed to them on the podcast. They got their own brand whole thing going on, all right, outside of just my YouTube channel. So make sure you are subscribed for the good shit. 5 days a week, videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y'all do weekend shit?
No. I might start, though, with Patreon exclusive type of stuff.
Yeah, I might start doing some roster breakdowns on the weekend.
I think Saturday, in the off season, like, you know how I do a Saturday live stream? I think we should do that if you guys are available at like noon or 1 p.m. or whatever. We get on for an hour and just do like a 3-person Q&A live stream.
Yeah, 3-person fetal. I like that.
Yeah, we all get fetal. Fucking video will be vertical so we can actually get in fetal position. It'll be perfect. All right. We're here to talk about week 5, recap everything that happened. We are filming this on Monday night. It is exactly halftime of the Chargers versus Saints game. It is 2010. We've got Justin Herbs and Spices, the absolute fucking GOAT right now. 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Noah's over there. Noah's just waiting for the death of Herbert. He knows this is too good to be true. It's not going to last.
Yeah, I have the game on my phone right now. I'm just waiting for my phone to die so I don't have to see what happens.
They're going to blow this game. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, 100%.
Breeze looks like a noodle on the fucking field right now. There's no way it could be worse with Jameis Winston.
Breeze looks like Phillip Rivers.
If Breeze is a noodle, what does that make Taysom Hill?
Dude, he's a different type of food. He's non-edible. Breeze is a fucking noodle. What, you know, would be electric if Jameis Winston went out there, like they benched Breeze and Jameis Winston went out there and immediately threw a pick 6. Like, first fucking
That's exactly what happened too.
That'd be so good. Everyone will go absolutely nuts. All right, let's talk about some games. Let's talk about I don't really want to talk about the
Can we
Falcons.
talk about the intro first? Mike, you want to kick it off? Who's going to break?
I'm waiting for someone to break.
A lot of stalemates going on tonight.
Can't hit the intro twice.
All right, I'll kick it off, man. I mean, look, it was another can I call it a brutal week? I'm gonna call it a fucking brutal week because we lost a big one.
It's a brutal life, man. Everything is brutal.
Yeah, honestly, I'm emotionally distraught. I'm ready for this season to be over. I'm on to 2021. I'm on to 2022. I'm already past the season, guys, because we locked Dak Prescott. And for those of you who play in single QB leagues, probably doesn't matter. But if you play in a super flex or a double QB, most likely Dak went in the first, second round, and he was literally letting it up. It's on pace for like fucking 6,000 yards. That's not even an exaggeration. I think he was literally on pace for like 5,700.
That was like yards. Literally an understatement. He was on pace for almost 7,000 yards.
Yeah, dude, he was going absolutely ham. He was carrying Ceedee Lamb. He was carrying Amari Cooper. They were carrying him. It was just a great, beautiful thing to watch. Their defense still fucking stinks, and their team stunk, but it was good for fantasy. So losing Dak, I mean, I honestly thought that his shoe fell off when I was looking at it at first, and it turned out his ankle basically snapped and his foot was pointing towards Mars. If you have a faint stomach or you can't handle that shit, I'd highly recommend you looking that up.
I thought the foot came out too. It looked like his heel was outside of the thing, like it just slipped off or something. And then you realize like his foot was like doing the stanky leg all the way to the right side. And I was like, oh my God. And then as soon as he waved over, you knew that shit was over for Dak. So that was like one of the more like brutal, just like pure emotional, like sports moments I feel like we've had in a while. You don't have injuries like that, especially to a player like Dak who was so, valuable to the team, and like the entire team depends on Dak to have this thing running. So that was bad. But like, I guess the way I'm looking at it now, obviously, if you're in a super flex league, that's a massive hit to you. If you can get Dalton, waivers probably already ran by the time you're all watching this. So hopefully you're able to get him. What do you guys think this means for the receiver? Like, this is going to change things for the receivers going forward, and especially for like dynasty. We had gotten really, really, really high on Ceedee Lamb. last week we were talking about how he's untradeable, and this is not really going to change his like dynasty outlook, but it does change the near future. And Dalton's not going to be able to operate this offense as smoothly as Dak Prescott would have been. Now, does Ceedee Lamb, maybe he was up at like your wide receiver 2 or 3 or 4 in dynasty. Does this drop him down maybe below a guy like Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill or DeAndre Hopkins, who is not going to have as much longevity, but will produce for you this year at a level that Ceedee probably won't anymore?
He's he was like, Tyreek was already ahead of Ceedee for me. Like, that was one of the only guys that I was considering. Like, I would definitely take him over Ceedee if that offered to me. Ceedee's like my wide receiver 7, so it's not like he's my wide receiver 2. I still got like DK, but like he's in that tier where it's like I'm just not trading him for another guy in that tier. And similarly, I'm not trading another guy in that tier for him. Like, if I have DK and someone offers me Ceedee, I'll be like, no. And if someone offers me DK for Ceedee and I have Ceedee, I'll be like, no. So it doesn't really move much for dynasty. I actually think he'll be fine for even seasonal with Andy Dalton. I think Dalton's like a serviceable quarterback. Like, he's not going to beat anyone if it goes off schedule. If you see him start rolling, get ready for that fucking interception incoming. But if he's like in the pocket and it's clean, I think he's actually going to be pretty good.
Best case scenario if you had to rely on like the Dallas weapons and vice versa. Like, we know what Dalton is at this point, and like their supporting cast is so strong that they can pretty much, a rising fucking tide.
Yeah, this is like this is probably one of the best O-lines he's ever played behind, even though they lost Tyron. This is probably one of the best receiving cores that he's ever played with. And I think he's going to rely on Ceedee, right? Because Ceedee's going to be running from the slot. I think this fucks over Michael Gallup. If anything, I think those deep, because they've been content leaving him on an island, just rocking it, one-on-one on the outside, and
he literally just runs the seam every single play.
Yeah. They just give Amari and Ceedee all the good targets, and Dalton's not going to be hitting him in stride down the field anytime soon. So I think it really hurts him. But I think Cooper probably not going to be on pace for 200 targets anymore. But I think Cooper and Ceedee can still really be like that low end wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2. So I'm not too worried about them.
Mike, you didn't run your tests on the target market share when Andy Dalton came in under center, as the guy asked you to do?
I was like, no.
I love that.
Some guy on Twitter, like, dude, these guys have balls. There's like, they came in, I tweeted something about like Ceedee Lamb. He's like, can you please tell me what the exact target market share was for all the Dallas wide receivers after Andy Dalton come in, and make sure you tag me. Thanks.
They just have no idea like where the stats come from. Every time you tweet out a stat about an individual, you get like 5 requests for 3 other individuals. You do like a top 5 list, and they're like, what about these 6 guys? Where do they rank? I'm like, bitch, go use Google or something.
I told you, Mike, you should have been like, this guy had 38%, this guy had 47, this one had 53. He's like, that doesn't add up to 100. Well, you asked me to do the math. I didn't say I was good at this. No, but I agree with you. Ceedee Lamb definitely has the easiest job out there because obviously he's a good receiver and he's playing out of the slot. And as you said, the offensive line we think is good, but it's really not that great. The running game hasn't really picked up all that much. I still think that they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, especially with their defense. How many points did they let up to the Giants? I know they had like a pick 6, but wasn't it like 30-something? Like, this team is bad. They're going to be throwing no matter who they play against. And I think Ceedee Lamb's going to be fine. Amari Cooper I'd much rather have than Michael Gallup. That just goes without saying. But Michael Gallup is basically double covered on every route he runs because they put one cornerback on him, and then he has the sideline also against him. So he's definitely not somebody that I'm looking to buy low just because he had like those 2 deep catches at the end of the game. They were just kind of force-fed to him because they had to move the ball upfield to eventually win that game. So as it stands right now, it definitely hurts everybody overall just because it was an unsustainable pace that they were on. But Ceedee Lamb, as Mike was saying, he's still like a top 6 or 7 dynasty receiver for me. I would definitely rather have DK Metcalf than him just because he's also extremely young and he's paired to Russell Wilson, and we don't really know how long this Dak injury is going to last, or if the Cowboys want to make him their long-term starter, which I hope they do because he's fucking great. But yeah, for dynasty, it doesn't really move him too much. In seasonal, I still view him as like a middling wide receiver 2 and Amari Cooper on the wide receiver 1 borderline.
Yeah, I think I think most of it won't be lost with Ceedee. He's running from the slot legit like 94 to 95% of his routes this year, which is pretty crazy. I'd like to see him go outside a little bit and see what they could do, down the field. Maybe in like a Gallup role for like half a game, see if they take some shots down there. But we had a few like quarterback injuries this week in a sense. I don't know what Ron Rivera was doing, keeping Alex Smith out there to get absolutely sacked and get his leg broken off. But this was just like a crazy week of football here between Dak, and then you have Kyle Allen get the start, get hurt, Alex Smith runs on the field, and like I feel like everybody collectively was like, "Oh fuck!" Like we all like
the thing is, like, do you
held our
think Aaron
breath.
Donald was afraid to like go out there and be like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to do this to this man. I
Did it
saw what
look
his leg
like he
looked
was
like.
afraid? Did you see the first
He
fucking sack?
No,
destroyed
but
him,
like
man.
you have to feel bad after a while. You can't just keep doing that.
I
guess
mean,
you can.
When your contract is fucking 9 figures, you can absolutely fucking do whatever you want.
That's why I'm not in the NFL. I don't have that mentality.
Yeah, you get taken out in a second.
That whole offense is kind of in the shitter. I mean, it didn't look great with Kyle Allen to begin with, but then Kyle Allen got injured and then Alex Smith came in, which is a great story for Alex Smith, obviously. But that offense,
he was
they
bad.
They put up how many yards in the second half? Like -6, something like that. That's not an exaggeration. They put up no yards.
I think his yards per attempt. Yeah, I think his yards per attempt number was legit like 1.7 or something insane like that. And I'm like, what are we doing with Terry now? Because this makes me nervous. Dwayne Haskins like somehow seems to be the best case scenario because at least he'll chuck the ball downfield. At least he'll rack up like 270, 300 yards on whatever, like just because they're in comeback mode. But Kyle Allen and Alex Smith are just not throwing the ball downfield, which I don't know. It's a big hit for Terry. I'm not going to go nuts over a 1-game fucking sample size, obviously, but this could be a problem.
I also think it's important to note, like, this was Terry's floor game, and he still saw 7 targets despite playing with a brand new quarterback and then another brand new quarterback who couldn't walk for like basically 2 years. And they also played a really good pass rush, and he saw Jalen Ramsey all game. Their upcoming schedule: the Giants, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Lions, the Bengals, Dallas, all in a row. So it's definitely going to ease up a little bit. It's going to be pretty soft schedule out there, and he's gonna see double-digit targets. Whether that turns into production, I don't really know because Kyle Allen stinks. But he's also really good after the catches.
I mean, like he might just turn into Logan Thomas. Like I know it's your fucking boy, the volume god.
Thomas,
like that's the problem with like Terry's floor with Haskins was like a nice 4 for 70 game or whatever. Now his floor with Kyle Allen is like 4 for 7. You take out the fucking 0 and it's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I could not believe it. Like the whole entire week on Twitter, I had to like fight off all these people telling me, "Oh, Kyle Allen's gonna be an upgrade for Terry." I'm like, dude, Terry was he was a wide receiver 10 with Dwayne Haskins at the helm. How do you expect Kyle Allen to come on? And it made no sense. I mean, and Alex Smith is obviously hurt. Probably too early, but I'm definitely concerned. In season long, I'm definitely concerned. In dynasty, I'm less concerned, but probably still concerned. So, be on the lookout for that. On the other side of the ball. Darrell Henderson, the week that everyone probably benched him, came out and put on a monster week with some touchdowns. Didn't get much on the yardage side. But Cam Akers sighting, went out there, rushed 43 yards, which is almost as much as Zach Moss has the entire season, as Nick correctly pointed out. Zach Moss is 48 yards on the season. Cam Akers got that in 1 run. So, take from that what you will from the preseason takes. But, it's good to see. But in season long, like you're still concerned, right? This is a fucking shit show at running back. You have no idea who you're going to start going forward, and it's just going to be pretty brutal. You're going to be running back for committee. Is Cam Akers droppable for you guys in season long?
I think this whole offense is just like fucked up. Like I don't know to tell people to start Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods or any of the running backs or Gerald Everett or Tyler Higbee. Like people tweet at me, would you start Kupp or Woods this week? I'm like, just pick somebody up off the waivers because I don't want to be liable for whatever happens. Like, I just don't know who to start.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think if you held Akers up to this point, like this last week's performance, I feel like you need to hold on for 1 more week. After like Henderson having a good game, Akers breaking off the big run, you'd have to think they start phasing Malcolm Brown completely out. I think Cam Akers, like with his size, gives you more than enough to take Malcolm Brown out of the game plan, give Akers that work. And then if they're splitting the work 50-50, like a good game script for the Rams against like weaker opponents, I think both of them can be used as flex plays. You're not going to feel good about it. I had to start Darrell Henderson in one of my leagues out of like necessity because the rest of my team was so fucking bad, which I felt good. But like I don't know if I'll ever be able to start him again. So there is a problem there. But like if you held on to him for this long, I feel like waiting another week or 2 is probably the move because these committees change fast, man, especially with talented players in them.
Also, does it look like Darrell Henderson gained a lot of weight to you guys? It seems like him and Ronald Jones have the same exact career arc. They like sucked as rookies and they gained weight and they're like, okay, we'll start you now because you're kind of big.
Darrell Henderson's head always looked like weirdly fucking big to me. Every time he's out there, it looks like he's got the big head cheat code on from NBA jams. His body was always small. He came in as like a 205-pound back. And his head is like 245 pounds. Fucking weird.
All right. Well, we're not gonna cover every game, but I think there's a couple of more interesting ones that I definitely want to go through. We'll quickly gloss over the Ravens-Bengals game because I mean Joe Burrow looked mortal for the first time to me at
I'll
least
tell you
this
one
season.
thing. I'll always remember when the What's Poppin' remix came out because when he said, I'm in the pocket like Burrow, I
Pocket like
have to know it
Burrow.
wasn't during the 2020 season. Because if he knew this was what the pocket was going to look like, he would not put that in that verse.
There was no pocket, but he did escape, man. Joe Burrow is elusive, more elusive than Joshua Kelly. We know that for a fact, but pretty elusive in his own right. I mean, there were a couple times where he would drop back and there would already be 4 guys in his face, and somehow he like slip up, like climb up in the pocket and run for like positive 4 or 5 yards. So, you like to see that. Here's an interesting question though: Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert? Who you guys got in Dynasty going forward?
Burrow.
Yeah, I'm still going Burrow. They're going to say rest of the season. Rest of the season, I'm going to rock with Herbert. But I think Burrow is just he's shown so much. I just don't like the fact that Cincinnati has to play Baltimore again and Pittsburgh a few times.
Yeah, that's I'm with you there. I think season long you got to go with Justin Herbert, but I think the way we'll think about it. And I was on Jax Falcone's pod yesterday, and he put it in a nice way too, and I tend to agree with him. I think I would take the profit that you can get from trading Burrow for Herbert plus. If you can get Herbert plus a first, Herbert plus a couple other pieces, Herbert plus like a wide receiver, like I think those are all doable deals just because of like the hype that Burrow had coming in, and this is his first disappointing game. So, don't try and sell out for this game, but halfway through the season, I think you can try and get a deal like that done, and I'd be pretty open to it.
Yeah, Burrow just feels like one of those pieces in Dynasty that like very few and far between that you kind of want to build your team around. For me, he's a piece that I just don't really want. It's not so much winning a trade in value or anything. It's just like, you have your one super flex spot like set up, and then you can have like a couple mediocre quarterback 2s and 3s around there that you can like work around Burrow for the future. So he's just not a guy I'm necessarily looking to move. But in that game, I know we had a lot of talk about Joe Mixon. Now, Mixon had a funky game. I mean, he had his typical 2.4, 2.6 yards per carry, whatever he had. Shitload of volume though. 24 carries, 59 yards. Got really involved in the passing game this time around. And
8 targets.
We're seeing Gio's touches go down drastically. I just like I guess Mixon might be in the same boat as Burrow, where like, are they good enough to overcome? This could be just a problem all season long. Maybe not dynasty looking, but for season long, the situation is just not good enough for them to overcome tough opponents. Like, yeah, he did it against Jacksonville, but they play Indy now next week, and that could be an issue. And that's my concern going forward. It seems like the passing game is starting to move in favor of Mixon, and Gio's playing less snaps, running less routes, and everything. But what are you thinking about Mixon after this game?
I think it's good that we saw that much work out of him in 2 very different game scripts. Like this past week, they got blown out. The week before, they blew the other team out, and he saw 63 opportunities across those 2 games. But I agree with you. Like against Indianapolis, it's going to be tough running. Kareem Hunt struggled against them, so I'm not sure that he's going to do much better. And I just don't know. He reminds me too much of Leonard Fournette of last year, where it's just like a lot of volume, but most of it's just like empty volume. He's not going to really be in too many scoring positions, and the team just wants to air the ball out. And I'm not sure that that's going to really lend itself to him becoming like a top 5, top 6 running back in fantasy, even though he's getting the volume of one.
Yeah, top 5, top 6 out of the question. That's kind of gone. So that ship is sailed. But what I will say is they are starting to get him more involved in the passing game early on, right? So they're still pulling him up. They're still pulling for Gio in some of the like late 2-minute drills and stuff for God knows why. But early on, like they're starting to look to him on like first down, on second down. Get a couple of those targets. Obviously didn't work out this game because, Ravens fucking stomped them into the ground. But that is encouraging for me, at least from a dynasty perspective. So I'm not saying I'm going to go out and buy Joe Mixon, but, 30 touches, empty touches as they may be, that stuff's just not really available too often. And they have a pretty tough schedule, like you said, Noah. So for season long, I'm definitely very concerned. But for dynasty, this is like, a glimpse into, what could happen if they continue to improve on that offense side of the ball. So like you kind of see the usage 2 weeks back to back on the receiving side. So I think it's a bit of a positive. It's the only silver lining because he obviously didn't do anything for you from a fantasy perspective, but I kind of like what I saw there.
Yeah. Within that game. Yeah, I was about to say within that game, this was just like a big week overall for rookie wide receivers, man. Like at this point, there's not any rookie wide receivers that are disappointing outside of just like pure injuries like Denzel Mims. We had the monster game from Chase Claypool. We had T. Higgins within the same game. It's now starting to take over as at least the alpha from like a volume or opportunity perspective.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Green went down with the hammy injury. We have Laviska Shenault doing his thing. Obviously, Ceedee Lamb doing his thing. Henry Ruggs even had his big game. 2 fucking catches for 118 yards. Most efficient game of all time, possibly from a wide receiver. So at this point, it's like
Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, I said that, but thank you for reiterating. His game was good enough that we probably.
I think you got to say it twice. He should have had 5 touchdowns. He should have had 5 touchdowns.
So let me ask you, going forward, we'll put like Jefferson, Ceedee probably in their own tier. Say like you're picking up one of these dudes on waivers, or like you're targeting one of them. Let's go for season long, because dynasty it'll be a whole nother fucking conversation. But between Claypool, Higgins, Ruggs, and Laviska, I'm assuming Higgins and Laviska are probably going to be 1 and 2 there, right? Like I don't know if I trust Claypool enough, like a week over week thing. It could be like a Deontay Johnson got hurt and pushed him into more of a role, because James Washington is still running more routes and Juju's obviously still there. So I think from a pure opportunity standpoint, like I might even go Higgins over Laviska, because with AJ Green out, like Higgins actually has a path to the real wide receiver 1 on the outside there, whereas like Viska's not going to be that guy as long as DJ Chark is there. And DJ Chark busted his ankle a little bit too, so him and Green could be in similar situations. What are you guys thinking about these rookie wide receivers?
First of all, I love all of them. And just want to remind you guys kept disrespecting Titty Higgins all off season. Now he's just dunking on both of you. So I just, first of all, love to see that a lot.
Power of the RJ.
He hasn't done shit yet.
Just to see him prosper.
Love to see it.
He hasn't accomplished shit yet. He's just on the field.
I love it. But no,
realistically speaking,
realistically speaking, I think I still prefer Laviska. He was my pick before the season for season-long leagues, because you're seeing like the rushing opportunity. He got a goal line carry this week. He didn't convert because they got fucked. They had some horrible red zone calls this week, but he's getting opportunity on the ground. He's basically leading in targets, and I actually think he's more like 1B to 1A of DJ Chark. DJ Chark is still that outside premier threat, right? But from a fantasy perspective, Laviska is getting like some of those pretty juicy targets. He's making Gardner Minshew look a lot better than Minshew is, because Minshew threw some fucking like terrible balls, and Laviska like extended to like really grab him and pluck him out of the air. So I really like Laviska going forward, and he's been usable pretty much every week, and he's seeing the volume, he's seeing the snaps, the peripherals are there. He's not going to go out and get you like 30 points, but he can get you double-digit points every week pretty much.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about Laviska Shenault is the one game we expected him to blow up in was the game that Chark missed. And against Miami, that offense just could not move the ball. I'm not so sure if it was Miami's defense being good on a short week on a Thursday night, or their offense isn't the same without DJ Chark stretching the field, and they don't have that element of their offense that really helps out Laviska Shenault underneath. For me, I'd probably go T. Higgins, just because it seems like AJ Green is dust. He's getting deep targets. He's getting targets in the red zone. He's just getting overall volume on an offense that wants to throw the ball a ton. I know Jacksonville does too. It's really splitting hairs, and it takes a lot out of me to choose Titty Higgins over a guy like Laviska Shenault, who we made that video about. But I'll slightly lean Higgins, and then I'll go Laviska, and then it's probably just like a toss-up with the other 3. Because like what Nick said, I think Claypool, the role that he carved out was simply because Deontay Johnson missed time. Although he does like deserve more work going forward, if Deontay Johnson's healthy, he's not going to be seeing 11 targets and 4 touchdowns a week.
Yeah, the peripherals aren't there yet for Claypool.
Yeah, so
Dude, you guys know that, just one quick side note, you guys know that account that's like, can Zach Ertz break a tackle? And the guy just keeps tweeting no. I think we got to make one of those for Joshua Kelly, because this guy's just not.
He really like made us believe. Who they got in now? Is that fucking Brandon Oliver from 6 years ago?
Oh no.
Is it?
The only thing I remember
no way they
is Achilles trying to block somebody. I don't know.
Who is that? Who's number 35, the running back?
I don't know.
Is that dude Cox that like everybody was hyped up about because he's 240 and runs a 4.4?
Tremaine Pope.
Tremaine Pope.
Wow.
Okay.
Big
I was gonna say no.
Chargers.
The one from the Hard Knocks. That dude was thick as hell. I feel like he got cut. No.
Probably. I don't know much about this team, to be honest. Other than
I feel like you just went into the year like thinking that you were fucking doomed, so you had no fandom going.
Yeah, I just like followed Tyrod on Instagram. I saw he had some type of swagger. I'm like, I guess this will work. And then he's like fucking stabbed, so it didn't work.
All right, let's move on. Next game. We're gonna cover this real quick because Nick hates them, but it's the Falcons. It's the Falcons versus Panthers. Not much to say on the Falcons side other than Todd Gurley looking like his old self. You love to see that.
He looked like his old self. Did you see how he got in the end zone? He had like a cane out there limping, and like the defense.
No, that's what I mean.
Bro, yeah, I was gonna say stop that.
No, but I'm saying like he's producing like his old self. But again, it's against the league's worst rushing defense, and they still fucking took that L. This team stinks. So that was the lone bright spot there. Calvin really continues to ball out. Actually, Calvin really is just a baller. He's a volume target hog right now. So if you have him, just slot him in every single week. I know he gave you that goose egg, but just ignore that. But I think the more interesting conversation on the other side, DJ Moore took that slant and took it to the house, and everyone was hyped. I was hyped. And then as the game progressed on, I think Robby Anderson just continues to cement himself as the wide receiver one in this offense, in this, Matt Rule, Temple converted offense. Teddy Bridgewater loves him. He's getting the underneath stuff. He's getting some deep looks as well. Is Robby Anderson, the wide receiver one in both from a redraft, and I think redraft obviously he is, but from a dynasty perspective, like, should we be looking at him as one of the top end guys? He went disrespected all off season.
Yeah, I think at this point he's got to be like borderline. I don't know how high to go with Robby Anderson. I feel like he's one of those guys that you just should keep moving up, but you get to a point where it's like, I don't know if I could put him as high.
Devontae Parker of last year too, the Adam Gase effect. It's like, oh, you got burned by him so many times, but if you take away the name Robby Anderson, you just look at the numbers he's putting up. It's like, this is a legitimate wide receiver one. It's like basically Julio Jones because he's not scoring touchdowns. He's putting up 100 yards a week.
Yeah. I mean,
he is 27 and a half, so he's a little bit on the older side here. And that's the only thing that, like, dynasty, I'm not going to put him above DJ Moore. I don't know. There's just, we have enough sample size of DJ Moore to know that he is actually good. And I think eventually he'll find his way into this offense. But, like, there's a real legit conversation to be had for Robby Anderson, inside the top 20 wide receivers in dynasty, I think.
Would you rather have him or not Robby Anderson, Robert Woods?
I was literally just about to say, like, I'm moving him into that group of guys. Like, I have that tier of, like, Devontae Parker, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett to a degree. Like, he's kind of moving into that group because of, he still has multiple good years left. But he's producing at an elite level in an offense that's passing a lot. So
I'll take Anderson there, man. I think I've seen enough this year to feel like really confident about Anderson's role in the offense and just like the upside of this offense. I think probably can keep kind of soaring, especially like we're in the first 4 or 5 games of Joe Brady's offense and they're putting up points. Robby Anderson is fucking playing that role beautifully. So yeah, I've seen enough, and I think he definitely belongs in there. Honestly, that's such a tough one. I think I'd probably still stick with Woods. He got the extension, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with the situation they have over there. But the fact that we even need to, like, debate this is pretty telling.
Yeah, and exactly. I think for this season also, like, we're worried maybe about Christian McCaffrey coming back, and that hurts him. But, like, Mike Davis is on pace for, like, 300 catches this year. I don't think that really matters all too much. If you look at their schedule, they don't have a bye until week 13. He's going to help you out for a long-ass stretch because over that time before they get their bye, they play New Orleans, Atlanta, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Minnesota. Either bad defenses or games where they're going to have to keep throwing, and they throw no matter who they play against anyways. He's put up 99 yards or more in every single game except one where they played the Chargers. So he's like a legit high-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 on that borderline for redraft leagues just because he is seeing double-digit targets a game almost. And he's being used in every quadrant of the field, and he's really shown that he can be a yards after catch type of receiver, not just a deep threat like Adam Gase is trying to use him as.
We had another interesting breakout where, we have 2 teammates that were getting drafted similar ADPs, unlike Anderson and DJ Moore, but Cooks and Fuller, man. Fuller keeps doing his thing. So Fuller is like a legit high-end wide receiver too, and I think you could probably argue him into like that top 12-ish range because he's been so consistent when he's not. If he goes into the game on the injury report with a hamstring, just don't play him. But if he's going into the game,
he blew up that week that he had a hamstring injury. I paid for it.
Which week?
The week before this week. Like, he showed up with a hamstring. I'm like, all right, I'm benching Fuller, and then he went out and had like 100 yards and a tutty.
Oh, I feel like they took him off the injury report right before though. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, no, they did. But he was like on the injury report for hamstring the entire week, and I was like, fuck that.
Learn the fucking rule. Learn the Fuller rules here. But Brandon Cooks goes 8 for 161 in a tug.
Beautiful.
What do we miss? I mean, I don't know if there's anything to make of this other than 1, like, you can't hold Deshaun Watson down forever, and 2, it's the Jaguars again. Like, can that be like the end of the debate? But are we like Brandon Cooks? I don't think got a catch in the week before, so now he goes 8 for 161 and a touchdown. I'm not really in a spot where I think I'm comfortable starting Brandon Cooks until we see this like consistently, or at least like a 3 out of 4 kind of week sample size. But It looked good out on the field. He looked super involved, and Fuller looked good too. So it was good to see both of them equally be able to get theirs.
Yeah. Look, I mean, they get the Titans next week. Malcolm fucking stinks. So, someone's going to eat. Fuller might eat. Brandon Cooks might eat. They get Packers after that. They get Jaguars again after that. So it'll be a good stretch, a good test for Brandon Cooks. But I think the most telling thing here is like, look, the first game Bob leaves, positive things already happening. So, whether it's play calling, whether it's Watson just getting that new injection of energy. I mean, we always knew Watson was a top end quarterback. At least I believed it. And he got an easy matchup this week. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out going forward. But I think this is good, man. This is good because we know Brandon Cooks is good too, right? Like he's not a scrub. Like, although when he took that fucking massive hit to the head, I thought he was done for the
I was like, good night. RIP.
Yeah, I thought he was dead. But then he came out and balled out. So look, for those of you that kind of like, jumped off the bus on Watson, I think this gives you some hope to get back on board. But I agree with you. You can't really trust, Brandon Cooks yet, at least, with Will Fuller there as the top dog.
Yeah, and he's been playing like 90% of the snaps either way every week, and he hasn't really done much. I think week 2 or 3, he had like 95 yards, and we thought he was back, and then I wrote him up in the waiver wire article. He shit all over me because he didn't do anything until this week where nobody was starting him. So it's just tough to trust any Texans wide receiver outside of Will Fuller when Will Fuller is healthy, because he's by far and away their wide receiver one. He's being used deep down the field. He's being used in the red zone. Darren Fells did his best Darren Fells impression, scoring a touchdown, but it wasn't a 1-yard score, so that was good to see out of him. And David Johnson had like the second most rushing yards on the day, so I guess he's back again.
Yeah, yep. That shit was personal. He tweeted out David Johnson and Todd Gurley both popping off. Every time they run for more than like 10 yards, it feels like getting stabbed a little bit in the stomach. And I'm expecting my mentions to just blow the fuck up on it. So I mean, obviously both guys need to be owned. Brandon Cooks, if he was dropped in your league, then go pick him back up and see what happens with a Bill O'Brien-less Houston Texans team.
Yep. Let's talk about upsets, man. There were a couple of big upsets this week, and the first one we'll talk about is probably a little bit less interesting, but the Dolphins fucking stomped the 49ers. And look, we know the 49ers are riddled with injuries, but Jimmy G looking like, I don't know what he's looking like. Looking like another, like a Phillip Rivers 10 years from now is what he looked like, to be honest. He was just throwing ducks and just some bad interceptions. I mean, he was hitting dudes in stride. It just happened to be defenders. So not what you want to see from that offense. And, we freed him up and they benched him for CJ Beathard or Beathard, however you fucking say his name. I call him Beathard because I think it's funnier. Who last week, funneled targets to George Kittle. But this week they just didn't get Kittle involved much. It was kind of embarrassing. Like, would you guys think it was a fluke? Like, Fitzmagic went out there and fucking balled out. Balled game for Preston Williams. Finally had the smash spot. Devontae Parker continues to be a value. People still hated on him all offseason, but he's proven to be, the lead dog there. So they got some weapons. Fitz is playing well, getting them some
Does
W's.
Tua get on the field?
I don't know, man. I don't
Fitz
think
is
so.
like I'd be so pumped if I was a Miami fan. You're like getting to enjoy the games way earlier than you thought you would, and you haven't had to rush Tua out there. Like Fitz looks good. Like legitimately, like you watch a game, and if you didn't like see the side profile of his beard coming out, you'd be like, "Yo, that's a really good quarterback, right?"
Lamar Jackson. Like, I haven't seen a Harvard grad not care about their brain as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't care about it. Like, I cannot slide. He goes headfirst every single time.
I love watching Fitz play,
dude. He's like probably low key, like one of the favorite players in the NFL, I think, amongst like all fans collectively. So yeah, the Miami offense was absolutely, I think Brian Flores is like the real deal as a coach, man. He is, someone had a good tweet, and I'm trying to remember what it was about Miami, but it was just like the telltale sign of good coaching is like how Miami goes out there every single week and competes like to the last fucking whistle against good opponents, bad opponents. Like you could tell they're energized to be out there regardless of whether or not they're supposed to get their asses kicked. And I feel like that turnaround that Miami did and is in the process of doing is fucking legit. And they're going to be a really, really good team. So the offense was buzzing. Miles Gaskins looks like a legit like running back 2 for your fantasy squad. On the flip side, I don't know. We're hearing a lot of reports about the ankle, and like I think they benched him because of the performance, but I think the performance might have been ankle related. Like I don't think he was really able to step back on his foot and really get into the groove of things with Jimmy G. But then again, I don't know. Is Jimmy G really even a good quarterback to begin with?
I don't think he's a good quarterback, but he's a above replacement level quarterback.
He's
I mean,
better than what he showed on. He's better than what he showed on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but the point about Miami is interesting, right? Like we talked about this. I think we were like during the live stream when we were all dying on the draft, and I was like, dude, I'm like starting to really like this Miami team. I'm liking what they're doing. Like they didn't blow a pick on a running back. You know, they built that offensive line. They're letting Tua learn underneath Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you know, for all the shit we throw on Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's lots of stuff that goes on behind the scenes of learning the business of the NFL, like learning how to become a pro. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick definitely has that, right? He's jumped from team to team, and he's been a pro in the league, and he's a top 10 quarterback right now.
Yeah, I might grab a Fitz fucking Miami jersey right now. Like I'm hyped up about Fitz. It's so fun watching him play, and like he's got so much zip on the ball too, man. He's really, a gunslinger. Really. Yeah, it really feels like he's gotten more accurate. He's aged like fucking wine, man. It makes no sense.
The other good thing, too, is like when you're deciding between him or another quarterback to stream and you look at his matchup, you're like, well, that's a revenge game because he's played on every fucking team in the NFL. You have that factor every week.
It also just feels like, I don't know, if it's like matchups don't matter. Like he'll go out like a fucking 400 spot on the San Francisco 49ers. And then he'll like against the Jaguars, he'll put up like 100 yards. So it's just like, I don't know.
It's random.
Fitz is the GOAT. And Preston Williams, good to see him biking, doing a few things. I mean, had the ACL tear like relatively midway through last year. And then we felt really good about him during the summer and thought he was good. You know, the reports all said he was back to 100%. Maybe that's the slow start to it. I'm not really sure what's going on with Preston Williams, but after the big game, I mean, the way Fitzpatrick is playing, he's definitely worth a pickup in redraft leagues, I think.
Yeah.
He's been looking his way in the red zone and the end zone. He just hasn't really caught much. I know in a few 2-point conversions they went for, they looked his way early and often, but he's being used deep down the field yesterday, and he looked like his old self. He's basically just the southern version of Auden Tate. They just throw it deep down the field. He toe taps and he falls down.
He's always been the more red zone guy. Like he's been better in the red zone than Parker, even going back to last year. Parker just gets more volume, so that's why you kind of want him. But yeah, in the red zone, Preston is always one of Fitz's first looks. And you know, I remember like Nick said he was talented coming out of college, like from way early on. So it's good to see him getting it on. But look, the next upset. I mean, I didn't see this coming. I don't know if any of y'all saw this coming, but the Oakland Raiders went in to Chiefs Kingdom.
I love the Raiders.
And put a fucking beating on them. And they came out 40-32, and makes it feel like a lot closer than the game was, because they were honestly pretty dominant throughout most of the game. Josh Jacobs had a decent day on the ground, but not that many yards. Why? Because Derek Carr was slinging it like Fitz magic, man. He was slinging it to Henry Ruggs. He was slinging it to fucking Nelson Aguilar. Didn't matter who was down there, but he was slinging it bombs and bombs downhill, just going toe-to-toe with the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. And that was impressive, man. That was impressive to see them come out and get that big W for the team. I don't know what you guys think about it from a fantasy perspective. I mean, it doesn't really change my perspective on much, but it was just a really impressive game to watch, to see them squeeze out that win.
Bro, we talked about it all offseason after the draft happened, and we're like, what are the Raiders doing? They're loading up to try to compete with the Chiefs. And when Ruggs is on the field, this offense just operates on a different level. And I also felt like they just dominated the battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Like Mahomes had guys in his face the whole time. You usually don't see that on Mahomes' side of the ball, and he looked a little bit sloppy in this game. Carr was fucking lights out, and when Ruggs is on the field again, it just opens a lot of things up. So the Raiders were a team that I really like, because they're going into the third year with Gruden, and they took a huge step forward offensively from the first to the second year. And it was something that I imagine continued. But like, let's talk about these two running backs, man, because after week one, I have a redraft league where my RB1 is Clyde, my RB2 is Josh Jacobs. After week one, I was like, there's no way I'm not, a top 2 team in the league right now. And those two have pretty wildly disappointed since then, is nothing more than like RB2s in your lineups. They're getting the volume, but like, at what point do we start, factoring that into what we think is going to happen going forward? I mean, Josh Jacobs, I think they're just going to ride him until he dies. Clyde, they're using in a little bit more of a strategic approach, but these running backs are just very highly coveted. Like, are you worried about either of them? Are you looking to sell either of them? Like, what are your takes on these guys?
I think the selling point for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and you brought it up a ton in the offseason, Nick, is when you have a running back on the Chiefs, they're scoring, 1.7 touchdowns a game. He just can't find his way into the end zone. He's being used decently in the passing game. The running game volume isn't quite there week after week consistently. But I'm a little bit nervous about him. This was supposed to be the blow-up spot because the Raiders were the worst run defense in terms of points per game allowed to the position. heading into the week. It was either them or Carolina. Both of them stink. And he just really didn't show much at all. I know he had a touchdown callback by penalties, so maybe you want to buy low based off that. But as you were saying, he's more of like a high-end running back 2, low-end RB1. And I guess beggars can't be choosers because there's not a whole lot of options to pick from at the running back position. But I know we had this debate earlier this offseason or early this season about dynasty. Who'd you rather have, Jonathan Taylor or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? But I think the disparity has kind of closed in terms of redraft as well, because Jonathan Taylor, he looked bad previously. This past week, he looked pretty good against a solid enough Cleveland front 7, and they have a really easy schedule coming up. So not to take away from the question you just posed, but I just think that like Jonathan Taylor would be a good buy low in turn for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just because it's a good offense, but he's just not doing anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's still my running back 1 in the rookie class. You guys, we just got to still be a little bit more patient with a couple of these guys, I think. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he actually got a target and a catch and a receiving touchdown, got called back because of fucking holding or something like that. Look, there's no greater buzzkill than fucking holding and offensive penalties, man.
Dude,
like,
so bad.
I lost so much money on that Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton TD getting called back. Like, that killed my lineups. It's fucking tilting. But I'm not that worried because he's still getting the opportunity, and Clyde still looks pretty good. At least when he runs the ball, when he's catching it. It was like one of those weird games.
He's just not. Yeah. He doesn't have like breakaway plays really, and I don't know if that was ever going to be in his real repertoire in the NFL. And like that's where you kind of gauge what he brings to the field via the combine, because you could tell how fast or how his long speed relative to athletes, and that was I guess one of the concerns. And now, like Mahomes also just like a slinger too. He's not someone who like drops back and is like, let me make the safe play, let me dump it off to my running back. His first 4 fucking reads are Hail Mary 1, Hail Mary 2, Travis Kelce, Hail Mary 3, dump off. You know what I mean? Like that's going to play a factor when you're the running back there. But it's kind of unfortunate to see. It's pretty shitty. And Josh Jacobs is, I mean, he's getting more volume in the passing game, but it's kind of what we brought up with Joe Mixon, where it's not necessarily like valuable volume. He'll get like 3 receptions for 17 yards or something like that. You'd like to see him mixed in a little bit more like creatively in the passing game, like use that fucking Madden route that like works every single time, where it's just like a little angle triangle out of the the angle coverable because the linebacker just runs really fast at him, and then before you know it, they're running opposite fucking ways. They need to get him more involved that way, but like also who the fuck am I to say that, because the Raiders are fucking rolling right now, and I'd be worried about Josh Jacobs. I think I'd be less worried about Jacobs than I would be Clyde.
Yeah, me too. I mean, 20-year-old. I guess 22 now, running back, produced at a pretty high level in his first year. And look, you're just not going to get like RB1 upside with Josh Jacobs. You just got to be okay with that. And he's a guy that dominates all goal line carries, right? So he doesn't have that problem. And he's going to be like maybe like a 40 to 50 like target type guy, and you're just banking on yardage and touchdowns, and that's okay. Look, not everyone's Mike Davis, man. Like Mike Davis, there's only one of him for a reason. Not everyone's going to be like him. So everyone wants to be like Mike, but not everyone's going to be like Mike. So
are we doing like are they doing a little like holding off C-Mac right now because Mike Davis is so hot? Do you think
there's no reason to rush him back, right?
They're 3-0. I think C-Mac's healthy, bro. I think they're doing a Tyrod where it's like, we'll get him back out there when he's 100%.
It's a win-win because Mike Davis is a beast, and I'm sure CMC wants to stay at home with Olivia Culpo. So like,
look, CMC is a system quarterback. We've said that all along, and Mike Davis has proven that out. So Mike Davis is a god. As long as he wants to stay in there, I'm cool with it. I got handcuffed. I actually have him in a couple leagues, so he's riding out for me pretty well right now. Doesn't help me in the fucking bdge dynasty where I was trying to go for a 3P. I lost to fucking Brandon Wright today, and he's like a tanking team. That's like,
wait, what? You took an L from him?
He blew me out, man.
I barely ever look at that league.
He started fucking Chase Claypool and just destroyed me.
Oh, what? Wait, Mike? Oh, no, never mind. I got like multiple guys going.
Yeah, he started Chase Claypool and just fucking destroyed me.
Wow, that's actually hilarious. I didn't realize that. I thought you were still like dominating the entire league, but I guess
no. I mean, I lost Michael Thomas and I lost CMC. I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs right now. Hopefully I squeak into the playoffs, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's that game. I think, I don't know if there's any other games you guys want to talk about.
Talk about Kenyan Drake just still not being good at like anything.
I don't want to talk about Kenyan Drake. I'm done with Kenyan Drake. This guy is just like not doing anything. I mean, Chase Edmonds looked objectively better at every stage of the game. I mean, even as someone that has Drake in a couple leagues, like I'm hoping they just move on and just start start funneling more
Scott
passes.
pulled off a fucking Drake for Devin Singletary trade like 4
wow.
days ago. I'm like,
Wow.
the
You got
fact that you got
Singletary?
anything of, like a 5-year gap difference, like like fucking Pretty Richie, bro. Like, what are you doing, my friend?
He was
How do you take
unwavering
that?
when he did it, though.
Unwavering, like he had no fucking fucks given about it.
Dude, I mean, Scott also got Nick Chubb in our league, and he gave up like Mark Ingram and like T.Y. Hilton and like some other trash. And he's like, oh yeah, like, well, this guy.
Thank you. I sent you a trade. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please check. Hopefully
Yeah.
your family as well. Accept. It's like you just need that from Scott.
This is like, and in the chat, he's like, well, this guy got 3 or 4 starters. I'm like, dude, who's starting T.Y. Hilton and Mark Ingram? So they're like fucking RB70 and like wide receiver 80. Nobody's fucking starting.
No,
these
it's
guys
funny.
right now.
Like that's not even an exaggeration. Like Mark Ingram and T.Y.
He's
Hilton
literally
are like wide receiver 64. Or
They're
something.
literally not startable right now.
Nick, how quickly after he got Ken Drake did he rename him on Sleeper to like Hotline Bling or something like that? Because Richie's always come with the nicknames like 2 seconds after he
Oh yeah, dude, Richie's nicknames are the best, man.
We that league's on Flea Flicker. Richie it's so funny because that league's group chat is wildly active. It's like by far and away the funnest league that I'm in, and we're just talking 24/7 about fucking random bullshit. And Richie never pops in. Every like 5 to 7 days, 5 to 7 business days, he'll pop in and we'll just go crazy, like send pictures of like black asses and like being like LMFAO, that trade was ridiculous. It was like a trade that happened like a week prior or something. We're like, Richie, what have you been talking about? So I tag him all the time. I'm just like, I'm gonna kill you, Richie, at Richie, because I know he won't fucking see it for like 2 weeks.
He doesn't know how to tag it anyways. Like he'll write at Noah, but it's not like in black. It's just he wrote at Noah and he didn't like actually click the tag. And one time he's like, I've been eating too much black ass. I need to get tested for COVID.
Yeah, he always be sending those pictures. I'm like, Richie, ain't you married with like fucking 6 kids or something?
I guess the one last game we probably cover a little bit is Vikings Seahawks Sunday Night Football. Let's just cover a little bit because Dalvin Cook got groin injury, so that's got downfield implications. Alexander Madison looked good except for when he pulled the Trent Richardson on 4th and 1, just fucking ran to the back of his own lineman instead of picking up the first down. Yeah, the Josh Kelly. What do you guys? And obviously, Russell Wilson did Russell Wilson thing at the end and threw to DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf. Shout out to Russell J. Clay over on Twitter. I think he's one of the first guys that had DK Metcalf as a wide receiver 1.
Hey, ball blast him. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, because of the contract. Yeah, shout out to ball blast him. Also had DK as a wide receiver 1. Look, man, DK is awesome, and he's been balling out. And the key fear is he's tied to Russell Wilson. I think the lesson to be learned, at least for me, I was out on DK as a prospect because I felt like he was like more of like a one-trick pony. Turns out that being a one-trick pony doesn't fucking matter if you're really elite at that one trick and you paired with someone that's willing to utilize and elevate you on that thing. So DK Metcalf, baller.
I think it was just telling that he dropped like 3 passes on the final drive and they still
went back to him.
Time.
That last catch was insane. Just the fact that Russ just chucks it up. Like it's so fucked up that like they can get the ball on the 4-yard line and with like a minute left and you're just like 92% chance they finish that they fucking win this game. It's ridiculous. So that game was crazy. DK is officially my 1 right now in Dynasty. I moved him up. He's 22 fucking years old, tied to Russell Wilson. Like I can't make an argument against him. Russ loves him, bro. It's downfield. It's like he is basically just running. He is Michael Gallup in the Seattle offense. And Tyler Lockett is just running like that. He just goes up and goes like that every time, every single fucking time. And DK's downfield all over the place. So he's looking like a fucking beast. Chris Carson's getting involved in the passing game. On the Viking side of things,
I think Chris Carson at one point had 4 catches for 6 yards. I was like, that is the most Chris Carson receiving stat line.
That's like Zach Ertz at this point.
So much. Zach Ertz fucking stinks. But yeah, DK elite. I'm so glad that I just like ate that L real quick and just like went on a total DK buying spree this offseason because I think he's gonna be the next big thing. And you love to see it. Love to see it with Russ. On the other side, we talked about this last week, and I remember telling you not to worry about Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen went out there and just did Adam Thielen things, just balled out, put fucking defenders on skates. Look, their schedule is a tough one. There's gonna be a lot of scoring. I think Adam Thielen's gonna be a locked in wide receiver 1. So just keep riding him going into the stretch. I think he's still the guy to have in season long over Justin Jefferson, but obviously Dynasty, you want Justin Jefferson because he's out there making plays. But
I love that. I was like, I'm thinking about moving Adam Thielen, and then like the next game 8 for 114 touchdown. Next game, 9 for 80, 2 touchdowns. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking bad at this. It's ridiculous. Like the amount of moves that I want to make on like an hourly basis, literally the way I think about a player changes probably like within the hour. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
I'm back.
That's all we got.
Have we been right about like anything this year at all?
I said that's all we got. Let's not keep going.
My original thing, I love that. I'm feeling he was like my wide receiver 5 going into drafts. Then I drafted him, and I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. And then he has a big game, and I'm like, yes. And he has a bad game, and I'm like, no. It's just fucking. I'm done. We're done. We're fucking done. Are you guys done? My ass is sticking to the chair.
Yeah, we're fucking done. I'm not even wearing pants, so.
Really? Because you're watching Herbert. That's why you're stuck to the chair.
Love that. All right. That's all we got for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, the film, the featured film, Oscar worthy, click the button that looks like that. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to their channel. Will be linked in the description. Anything else?
That's it, man.
All right. You're fired.